thing is, give me a good team with some subpar technology over the bad or the subpar team with the highest quality technology. I'm taking that other good team every single day of the week. We will make it work. That's no problem, because you know what you do with that? You just
So, before we get into today's episode, I want to just take a moment to introduce myself so that you all can have the pleasure of this experience. So, my name is Uniqueka Walcott. I am the founder and CEO of Uniqueka Walcott Communications. Today, I am hosting the inaugural episode of a show that has been a long time coming. And I can't wait to share this with you. But before we jump into the topic and I make my confession about why I'm wrong with Mr. SharePoint, I want to just introduce myself a little bit. So you might know me as a $1 billion bid writer. I write proposals for government contracts in my professional life. Been doing that for over a decade. But what I love more than anything is to communicate and tell powerful stories. I want to tell stories that make people feel heard and seen. I want people to feel like their success is inevitable and to live in a way that makes those things feel possible and inevitable, not just maybe. And so today I'm stepping into that myself because I realized that I've been spending so much time, so much energy sharing everybody else's story and or where they've come from, what they do. So I really just want to take a moment to introduce myself. I live in Orlando currently. We got an adorable cat, a husband. We've been together 7 years, married together a decade. I should be more clear. In today's episode, I want to just dive into a tool that I think a lot of us are using and have very minimal understanding of how it works. Because I will tell you, I was wrong. Because I thought of SharePoint as just a tool to store some documents. And when I sat with Therman Trotman, he really shifted my perspective. And so we're going to watch this conversation. We're going to unpack what we learned here. Before we do that, I just want to tell you thank you for your support. Thank you for your time today. You could be doing a million other things besides watching me on YouTube or LinkedIn or Facebook. So thank you for that. I will do my best to make sure that I engage you guys in the comments in real time. But one person producing the show and just leaning into, imperfection in this moment, because what I've had to remind myself over and over is that power does not require perfection. It's just that simple. It does not. And so I want to empower you with the knowledge and information that I have from people in my network who can be assets to helping you grow your business, help you build your personal brand, and just overall live a better life. And so with that, we're going to hop into this conversation with Therman Trotman, Mr. SharePoint himself. Hello, my name is Uniqueka Walcott. I'm the host of Uniqueka, where we elevate executive voices. Today, I have Therman Trotman on the show, and he goes by the name Mr. SharePoint. I want you all to understand what an asset he can be in your network. I know I've got a lot of people who work on RFPs and proposals, who manage a lot of data and documents in my community. So I want to welcome to the stage Mr. SharePoint himself. How are you?
Uniqueka, how you doing? What's going on?
Yeah, I'm doing great. How about yourself?
I'm great. I'm always great. The sun is shining, so you know what I mean? That's the first thing that gets me going for the day, so I'm good.
I love it. Yeah, it's a very nice day. Where are you located?
I'm in Maryland.
You're in Maryland. I read you from the Bronx, though.
I am, born and raised.
So what made you move to Maryland?
My mother. When I was in the Army, I was in the Army for 4 years, and then during that last year, my mother had already moved to Maryland, and she was like, yo, when you come home, you should check out Maryland because it's cheaper than New York. So when I was doing the comparisons, an apartment at that time in Maryland, I had like a 1-bedroom with a walk-in closet. It was carpeted. It was a whole thing. And that was $638 a month. And compared to New York, there was no way I was getting that. So I was like, yeah, I'm out here. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, no, $638 in any time. Like I remember being in Atlanta and my friends were like, yo, how did you get this apartment? Why is this so cheap? I was like, look, this is the favor of the Lord.
Yeah. Atlanta too. Yeah, a bunch of my people moved out to Atlanta too, and was like, yeah, it's just better out here. I hate to call New York a bubble, but it is a bubble. You know what I'm saying? A good bubble. I love my bubble. You know what I'm saying? But
I love New York too.
you know what I'm saying? Outside of New York, things are just different, and you can get. Well, I mean, it still is because New York is getting more and more expensive, but you could get so much more bang for your buck outside of New York. You know what I mean? That's why I think a lot of people will go like a little outside of New York and just access the city in like Jersey or whatever.
Yeah,
because it's crazy. The price is crazy in New York right now.
I mean, it was crazy 15 years ago. Like I remember like being a college kid and trying to get an internship and being like, okay, this is great. You guys want to pay me $10 an hour. This won't pay for me a place to sleep for the week, like to get here.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, no, awesome. You call yourself Mr. SharePoint though. What does your family think that means when you tell them I'm Mr. SharePoint?
Hey, my family, they like I do, they think it's corny. You know what I'm saying? It's mad corny. And I know that already. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm fully aware of that thing being corny. However, I was encouraged to do it, and I had to do it because what the people that was encouraging me to do it, they said was gonna happen, it happened. You know what I'm saying? So like I was floating around on LinkedIn like a couple years ago when I first started getting active on LinkedIn, trying to, promote and grow my business. And everybody knew that I was talking about SharePoint. And somebody said to me, they was like, yo, you're like Mr. SharePoint. You just call yourself Mr. SharePoint. And I was like, no, there's no way. You know what I'm saying? I'm not doing that. You know what I mean? Because
I'm not doing that.
Yeah. But then multiple people encouraged me to do it. And then I was like, all right, let me just try it out real quick. So the little tagline that you could put underneath your name on LinkedIn, I was like, all right, let me change that to Mr. SharePoint. Once I did that, people kept addressing me that way. And then the people who told me to do it, they was like, yo, that's just branding. People are going to remember you easily because that's an easy way to brand yourself. And I was like, man, I'm not super comfortable with it, but it's fine. I'll do it. You know what I mean? And since then, I just left it there because what they were saying is correct. It's a very easy way for people to remember me. So I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? But I'm with my family and everybody else. We're like, I know it's corny. It's not like I'm doing it and I'm like, oh man, this is super cool.
Like you're not gonna put like a Mr. SharePoint like on your t-shirt and like Superman out first.
Yeah, none of that. But I recognize I'm humble enough to be like, look, I'm not branding anything. I don't know about branding. I'm still learning and growing about how branding works and how I can use branding. But it's fine. I know what it sounds like.
I want to talk a little bit more about the discomfort and feeling like this is corny though. How did you overcome that feeling? What was the motivator?
Oh, to just try it out, because that's one thing too. Is like if something seems scary, then I've learned to just do it. You know what I mean? Just like do it while scared, because there's usually growth on the other side. Especially when I see the benefit for me is something that can help me grow my business. Because on the other hand, right? I am petrified, and I'm talking about like the sweats and trembling and all that of heights. Like I can't do it. But no part of me wants to go challenge myself to go get over my fear of heights. And I could care less if I go to the grave never overcoming that fear, because it doesn't. I'm not like, oh man, I need to go to the Grand Canyon and look off the edge because that'll help me overcome my fear. I could care less. However, on the other hand, with this, like if on the other side it means that I'm gonna get to grow my business, then I'm like, yeah, this sounds a little scary or whatever, but I'll do it. I'll do it scared. You know what I'm saying? Because I can see the benefit on the other side is, like people told me, you could people will remember your name, or like, this is good for your business, or things that I'm still, learning about, unlearning a lot of things that I thought about business, to where now that I'm doing it, I'm learning and growing. So yeah, that's the main reason. Is to if I'm afraid of something, usually that means if I do it, then there's good stuff on the other side, growth specifically.
I love that you are willing to challenge yourself, with the exception of peeking over the edge of the Grand Canyon. But I'm
Yeah,
going to
not
tell you,
happening.
I got to visit the Grand Canyon a few years ago, and it's beautiful. Like the
I'm
pictures,
sure it is.
pictures don't do it justice at all.
I am sure it is a beautiful place, just like the tall building in Chicago. I went there with my wife and a friend of mine and his girl, and we did that thing where like you could look off you could go into the glass and
Yeah.
look down and all that. And I'm like, yo, what am I doing this for? There's a dude in there like doing handstands in the glass while you could look over the edge of the building. And I'm like, yo, 2 thumbs up to you, bro. You know what I'm saying? But I look, I just don't get it. And I'm sure those
Like, what's the net benefit of this activity?
I'm good. I don't see the benefit. So
that's fair.
I did it. You know what I'm saying? I looked over and then I got off that glass. It was crazy.
That's fair. So speaking of getting over fears, what are some of the biggest challenges you find with people who might be hesitant to adopt something like SharePoint?
So I from my experience, I've learned that people SharePoint is a 4-letter word in a lot of organizations. Ooh. Because you hear SharePoint and it's like, oh my God, SharePoint, here we go again. And it's understandable. And the reason why I say it's understandable is because a lot of people are introduced to SharePoint in the wrong way. They are told it's just a document storage place. And so in their head, they think of it like Google Drive or like Dropbox, when really SharePoint is like a really big thing. And this one small piece is document storage. That's it. So the first thing is that people hate it because the way that they were introduced to it is like, hey, it's this document storage thing, and then no one manages it properly. So that's one. Then number two is, because of that, when you hear the word SharePoint over and over again, it's like, bro, give me a break. You know what I'm saying? People are rolling their eyes. So the other thing I encourage people to do is to nickname their intranet, because SharePoint is more than just a document storage tool. It can run your whole entire intranet. When you do that, it's like if you have the place where everybody goes to get all their information, you could call it like the hub, the company hub or whatever. Just don't call it SharePoint, because it's the same thing with like a Word document, right?
Yeah.
You create a Word document, you don't call it Word document. You know what I'm saying? You call it the thing that you actually turned it into. So a lot of people are calling SharePoint the tool, which is the name of it, SharePoint, but you don't got to do that. You could just use it and change the name and let people call it that. You know what I'm saying? So, but the number one challenge usually is people think it's a document storage tool. And then I have to take a lot of time to educate them to say, it's not, it's way more than that. Like, it's super powerful. And, you know, that's okay. I actually enjoy doing that. So that is the number one challenge, is changing people's perspective on what SharePoint is and what it can do.
I appreciate that just because I tend to think about SharePoint as a document storage space, and you have really helped me understand, like, well, you know, that whole system with all the internet sites and things, that's probably run on SharePoint, but that's not what we call it. So yeah. I love that example. What is the favorite name of someone's internal SharePoint site that you've encountered over the years? Do you have one? Or what are some of the strangest ones?
Well, I wish I could remember, but there was this one. I'm not a big fan of the Beatles. I don't know much about their music, but somebody did a rollout of their intranet using the Beatles. You know what I'm saying? It was like the name of the intranet. The main name of the intranet was like a Beatles song, I think. And then leading up to it, different phases of the rollout had like a Beatles theme to it. You know what I'm saying? I wish I could remember what they called it.
No, but I love that creative energy, though, that they were like, let's make this a level of excitement. Like, I mean, because then you could just make a whole soundtrack for your rollout.
Yes, I highly encourage doing stuff like that. Like, use your creativity. SharePoint is a look. SharePoint as a topic is a boring topic, but I bring creativity and fun and excitement to it because I'm more so thinking about the person and how they can use it, and less about the tool itself. Like, I'm very people focused, but I'm more like, what do you do? How do you do it? Oh, okay. Let me see if SharePoint can help you do it even better. That's really where I'm at. So yeah, bring all that creativity to it. I just can't remember what they named it.
So then here's a fun question for you. If you had to name your SharePoint after an artist and use their music as a theme for the rollout, who would it be?
Oh man, probably Nas.
I was wondering.
Yeah, it's gonna be some New York artist, but you know what would probably be better is if I used 50, because 50 is extremely popular. You know what I mean? More popular than Nas. Nas is more like, I mean, he's popular and he's been doing this for a long time, but he doesn't reach the popularity that 50 has reached.
Yeah,
so
no. 50 is like edging on pop / hip hop artists.
Right.
In contrast, I agree.
You know what I mean? Like right now, I could use Kendrick. Before this whole situation with Drake, there's a ton of people that did not know about Kendrick and his music, even though there was a lot that did. But now it's like the thing to hop on is to use his music and say, hey, we're gonna roll out. We're gonna do a Kendrick Lamar rollout.
I would love to see that. Have you ever have it happen? Like, at least send me the soundtrack.
Yeah,
like hopefully the whole room can yell A minor together.
I know. It would get a little crazy, you know what I'm saying? But it's a good idea because SharePoint by itself, it's just a a productivity tool. That's all it is. So bring your style, bring your fun, bring your energy to it, because you can do those things with SharePoint. You could design your SharePoint sites in a very creative way using your themes and all that stuff. And people, I tell you what, not that long ago, my wife collects dolls, and she was like, yo, I need to inventory this stuff because it's too much. And I was like, yo, you can do that in SharePoint. Let me build your SharePoint list, whatever. And she was like, all right, cool. So I built it, I gave it to her, and she never used it. And then I asked her, I was like, yo, why you made me build a list if you ain't use it? And her answer was, it wasn't cute. So at that moment, it just reminded me of how that's not necessarily my thing. But I bet if somebody knew what I knew about SharePoint and brought it to the organization, they could, quote, make it cute, you know what I'm saying? Or bring that style and energy and fun to it, which is something important that you need when you're selling it to your stakeholders in the business.
Yeah, I'm giggling about make it cute. It echoes like when we're working on proposals and people say make it pop. You're like, well, what does that mean exactly?
Yeah.
It's a Word document, an InDesign file. Like, if it pops, we might have a problem. Like,
yeah. But she was dead serious.
Yeah, I'm sure, because I mean, you'll find that some people are unable to get to the details of things if it's not aesthetically appealing.
Yeah, and I get it. I used to, when I was younger in my career, I would be like, what? I don't even, we talking about this thing works. That's all that matters. But as I got older, I learned just exactly what you just said is a real thing. And so that's important, you know what I mean? Like, which is, part of what I do. But I don't think I'm as good as the person who can, quote, make it cute, but I can definitely make it good. You know what I'm saying? I can make it look good. I'll get you to a place where your stakeholders would enjoy using the tool.
Let's unpack make it cute, though, because that's something that has been like a recurring theme in my world, where I've even like penned a blog post about aspirational aesthetics, where people show up and they've got these gorgeous aesthetics, but you peek under the hood and stuff is missing or broken.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you understand that pretty doesn't solve problems. Like, it helps introduce people to things, but you sound like very much, let's make sure that all the pieces, the nuts and bolts, are in great order. And it sounds like maybe if you could find somebody who's got make it cute energy, y'all would be a great pairing.
Yes.
So hopefully your person finds you.
Yeah. Well, I have
podcast journey.
Well, I wouldn't even say make it cute. I've found more so like I've worked with graphic designers in the past, because one thing I'll say loud and proud is that I don't make it look good. I make it work. That's what I'm good at. So if I find somebody who knows how to make it look good, which I have in the past, I've had graphic designers, all of that, where they help me make the thing look good that I have already got working. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I've definitely found them. I just haven't paired up with somebody who is who can do what my wife was probably thinking. She could probably give me the ideas and I could implement it, but
yeah,
I've done professionally good. Let's say that. If we want to go extra creative, I haven't found that person yet.
Okay, so we're looking for the creative match here to get the pretty going. What are
Mhm.
some of the biggest challenges you feel like people face when they're rolling out a SharePoint site?
Oh, well, I wouldn't even say biggest, as in, or some of the biggest. There's one specific challenge. It's people.
Ooh,
It's always
people.
going to be people. So I push technology. I'm a big believer
Hmm.
in technology, but I always say people over technology because people are way more important than the technology. So, for instance, if you do make it cute, if you do have a very reliable internet underneath the hood, everything is cracking and it's good to go. That does not mean that people are going to use your internet. It doesn't. It does. It's not a build. If you build it, they will come. Even if you have the power, let's say you're at the top of the food chain, and you say everybody will start using this internet come tomorrow. Yeah, they'll use it, but they're not even going to be using it in a way where they find it beneficial. They're just going to be using it because you told them to use it. The thing that you have to do, you have to make this a part of your arsenal, is knowing how to get buy-in. Period. You know what I mean? Like you have to get people to want to do the thing. So if you say, we're struggling with um onboarding. We're struggling with onboarding and we need to fix this process. There's people who you're not even going to have to convince. They already know that onboarding is a struggle, and you show them on SharePoint that you can make it work. So they're already in, no problem. But then there's these other people who are like, yeah, I know we can fix it, but I hate SharePoint. Or I know we can fix it, but I've been down this road before. We're never going to get it fixed. So stop trying. Or there's going to be people who just don't care. They just show up to work, get a paycheck, and leave.
They're like, this ain't in my pay grade. This is not
Yeah.
on my job description.
Yep.
Why do I have to do this?
They don't care. They just they're not even part of the onboarding process. They went through it one time when they got on in the company, and now they just work and go home. You
Yeah.
have all kinds of people, all kinds of stakeholders that you have to talk to and get buy-in so that when they do use the tool because they want to use it, you get good feedback. They say, oh man, I love this tool, but hey, can you fix this, and this? And that's a part of your next rollout. All that kind of stuff. I think that's where I shine because I understand technology, but I also understand people. Matter of fact, I understand people more than I understand technology. So
Yeah.
if we need to implement this internet, I can not only get the internet implemented, but I can roll out your community or be part of your communications plan to your stakeholders. I mean, that's not a thing for me.
I love that because I'm going to say this. I've worked at a few companies in the industry, and that is usually one of the greatest shortcomings. It's not the selection of technology or the capability of what they rolled out, it's their ability to communicate what's in it for the people who are responsible
Correct.
for using it. They want to know what's in it for me. Like, and sometimes what's in it for me is not that I get my work done faster. It's what's in it for me is now I can leave on time to catch, soccer practice with the kids and not pull my hair out. Like
Mm-hmm.
those are the what's in it for me sort of things I think that we forget to communicate with people. So I love that you are actually not just the tech guy. You said, look, I'm going to help lean in with you and help you develop a meaningful communications plan because that is the thing. People are sort of the problem here. Like if you want to be successful and effective, it doesn't matter how great the tool is if no one's willing to use it or use it correctly.
Right. Yeah. If you, my thing is give me a good team with some subpar technology over the bad or the subpar team with the highest quality technology. I'm taking that other good team every single day of the week. We will make it work. That's no problem because you know what you do with that? You just throw some more gas on the fire. So if they have already learned how to work together as a team and they do what they can with these tools,
Yeah.
imagine if you gave them a high quality tool. Now they're a good team, a great team with great technology. They're unstoppable. Period. You can't do that with the team that don't work together. They don't communicate. They don't really like each other. They don't show up on time. They haven't bought in on the vision for the whole team. I don't want to be on that team. I'm good.
Yeah. The disengaged team is not the team that's going to take this to the next level, even if it's, like you said, sort of subpar tech. Subpar tech then gets evolved and developed because the team is invested. They're going to, hey,
Right.
we need to do this next. We need to evolve to this level. Here's the feedback I can offer.
Mm-hmm. They know their processes. They work well together. They're not, they know how to challenge each other. They can speak to each other. It's a whole, when you find that kind of team, I highly encourage you not to leave that team, because that's a rare thing when you find that.
What are some of the indicators you have one of those sort of great teams? What sets them apart? When do you know you've got that group?
When things are challenging, can they work through challenges? Because I think you could always shine when things are good, but can you work through challenges? And also the quality of the person that leads the team. How good are they at working through these challenges? How good are they at making each person feel, valuable? How good are they at recognizing that it's the people who might be holding them up, not necessarily them? They know what they bring to the table, but they don't go higher leadership and say, yeah, it was all me. I did all of this. You know your part. You know what you did. You absolutely are valuable, but you know also your team is what makes you shine. Your team is doing great things, not just necessarily because they're a good team, but because you show them how to be a good team and you show them how to be a good leader. And so they, reciprocate that. I've been on in my
that is
career,
super powerful and important.
2 really good teams, two excellent teams, and three excellent teams, and it's a really good thing when you get there. So you need to ride it till the wheels fall off. That's my advice.
I said, ride it till the wheels fall off if you get a good team, friends. I love it. What are you most proud of as Mr. SharePoint? What is something you've accomplished you're most proud of?
I am really, really proud every time I help somebody. That's just my thing. That's like really what I had to, at first it was just by default, but then I leaned into it when I realized like, that's just my thing. Like I read, about the love languages and all that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
5 love languages, acts of service.
Yeah, me too.
Words of affirmation. Yeah.
Yeah. My number one is acts of service. So I receive love in the highest way that way, and I also give it that way. So when I do something for somebody and I watch them, shine after that, I am very proud. The leaders inside of organizations that I've made look good because they take something to their leadership, it makes me super proud that I know what I'm talking about, but then also excited for that person and the team who is just shining just because I'm helping. So I don't have a one proud moment. That's hard to pin down. I have multiple on a regular basis.
Which is great. That means you found your thing truly when you're like, look, I'm proud of the work I get out of bed to do and feel like it makes a difference. That means a lot.
Yeah. So let me bite on that a little bit, which is I lucked up like a really, really long time ago and didn't even realize that I practically fell into doing what I love. For a really, really long time in my career, I didn't realize that most people hated what they do for a living. I thought a bunch of people were living like me. You know what I'm saying? I didn't know that. I was at an organization and they sent out one of these climate surveys. And this is me being on one of them teams that I loved, right? They sent out one of them climate surveys. The results came back. It's a big organization. The results came back and the majority, so more than 50% of people were negative. This is what I heard. That they did not like coming to work here. They didn't like the managers that they worked for. They didn't like the way that the organization didn't, support them, all kinds of things. And this blew my mind because I was like, wait, people hated here? I was so confused because the team that I was on, I loved it. You know what I mean? I loved coming in and doing what we did every day. And then all the people that I knew throughout the organization, I had a great relationship with them. It was always positive. We was always talking good stuff, work or non-work. So when I saw this thing come back, I was like, oh, and that was the thing that began me realizing I was in the minority when it came to people who enjoyed what they did for a living. So since then, more and more evidence just comes out that shows me that, people are not enjoying what they're doing on a daily basis.
Yeah, no, most people don't enjoy their job, which is unfortunate.
Mm-hmm.
What helped you find like your thing? Was there a particular path you took, or you just kind of stumbled in? Tell me more.
I did stumble in, but I stumbled in because of joining the Army. Before going in the Army, I, even though I come from a hard work, like my pops is hardworking, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And the people around me were doing things. They were going to college. They was doing all that. But me, I was just like, I would have wasted my parents' money if I ever went to college. That's number one. And then number two is, I'm serious. You know what I mean? College is not going to be a thing. I was not a good, on paper, in school, which is how you get graded on paper. I was not a good student. I was like a really bad student. So
Oh, wow.
when I left high school and I was trying to make a decision, I ended up choosing the Army. And this is a brand new decision. It's not like I had people in my family that was from the Army or whatever. It was just a brand new decision. I said, all right, I'm going to do it. I did it. And it was in the Army where I started to learn about myself, where I was like, I didn't realize I had the ability to make my own choices and steer my own life. I thought that you just hung around and life just happened to you. Then I also learned about books that I loved reading, because in school they gave us all these whack boring books, and I'm like, nothing about this interests me. I don't want to.
It connects you to
Yeah,
any other world.
none of that. I didn't like none of those books. And Grapes of Wrath, and no disrespect to none of them books.
I'm only giggling because I get it. Like,
didn't do anything for me.
Like,
none of them books.
What book did it for you? Tell me.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. When I joined the Army, a captain of mine, he passed me Rich Dad Poor Dad, and while the details of that book were good, it's not that caught my eye. What caught my eye was when there was a part of the book. It said, instead of saying I can't, say how can I. That was the first thing that changed my thought process, where I was like, wait a minute, I didn't even realize that. And I take things extremely literal, or at least at that time I did. So I was like, yo, the next time I get ready to say I can't, I'll just say, how can I? And then it worked, you know what I mean? And so then that started to change things, where I then became, or realized that I became, and started to hone in on the fact that I was a problem solver. And so I just needed the right career path to line up with that. So I was a problem solver. In the Army, I was supposed to be doing radios, and I did some radios, but I ended up doing computers. And then I ended up being a contractor, and then here comes SharePoint. So the original decision is Army. Then after that comes mindset change. Then after that, I realized I'm a problem solver. Then after that, I honed my computer skills, and now I'm taking my problem solving skills to the world of computers. And then here comes SharePoint, and I just take them same problem solving skills to the next level with SharePoint. That's how I got where I got. And so it was kind of falling in my lap, but the original decision to go into the Army was me.
What a life-changing decision.
Yeah, I always call it the greatest decision I ever made in my entire life. Like, nothing compares to it.
Nothing compares to the decision to go to the Army.
Nothing. It laid the foundation for everything.
That's powerful. A lot of people don't always think about the Army as an alternative. I recall having an interest in the military, and my mom was like, absolutely not. You will go to college. I mean, I had good grades or whatever, but I was just kind of curious about what life might look like doing it differently.
Yeah, it was. There's one thing to be in there, but then there's another thing to be in there when September 11th happens. You know what I'm saying? So while I was fine, my loved ones weren't. Specifically my mother. She was like super worried, you know what I mean? And I remember her saying, well, yeah, she was proud of me for making that decision and all that. So she kind of was like, oh man, I encouraged them to go in there, and now the towers got hit. It wasn't, you could feel that guilt as a parent, but I was fine. Some of my friends did get sent down range, and some of them didn't come back. You know what I'm saying? So it was at that time, I remember that was the biggest thing. Oh man, if I join the Army, I'll get all these things. That's cool. But I don't want to go to war. What if I die? Da, 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 da. And some people did. And that's just the reality of it. So you are gambling with the fact that you might get sent to war. And it's not like we were sitting around in my part of the world talking about, yeah, we're patriotic and we want to go fight for our country. We was just like, yo, we got to make something shake. And
right. Right. Like I got to get out of my parents' house. I can't be 30 on the sofa.
Right. Exactly. So I was fortunate enough, I was blessed enough to not have that happen to me, but happen to some of my battle buddies, and some of them went and came back. So they're back here now, but there's PTSD, all that stuff to think about. So it's a choice. It's a big choice, but it was the best choice that I've ever made, the best decision I've ever made in my entire life. I'm very fortunate.
The best decision you ever made was to join the Army. That speaks volumes to your experience, for sure.
Excellent experience. Loved it.
Yeah. So you've had an excellent experience in the Army. Is there anything you wish you could have done differently in life?
Maybe would have been to stay in the Army longer than I planned to. Because that whole thing where I was talking about with staying on a team until the wheels fall off.
Yeah.
That came from being in the Army. And in my last year of the Army, I was in Korea. So I spent the whole year in Korea. That was a dope experience, by the way. And on the tail end of Korea, I gotten orders that said, it was like they would encourage you to re-enlist. They want soldiers to re-enlist. I was like, I ain't re-enlisting nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like I came in here to do 4 years and get out. So I was very, like when the horse got the joints on the side of their eyes. And
like, this is all you can see.
Yeah, I was like, yo, I'm almost at the finish line. Don't do this. But while I was there, I had a really, really good team. Like my lieutenant, my staff sergeant, my sergeant first class. That was my chain of command. And then my battle buddies, the soldiers around me. I was on a really, really good team. And I was 22, I think. And so I didn't realize how important that was. So then I left the Army. I got out, honorable discharge. I'm at home, and there was a bit of a struggle time before things got better. And during that struggle time is when I was sitting there thinking like, yo, what did I leave for? You know what I'm saying? What was the point? Like I was back home in New York and Maryland. I was going back and forth, having a good time with my friends, but I nothing was happening yet. I didn't get a job yet. I was in the Guard for a year too. I was in the National Guard for a year after that. But I was still like, yo, why did I leave? Because I was so blinded on these, do my 4 years and get out. But things were good in there. I was getting paid. I was getting, I was growing as a person, and I was on this great team. And it was then when I made that decision, I said, yo, the next time I end up on a team that is a great team like that, I am not going to be the person to break it up. I'm not leaving. I'm staying there until it falls apart. Saying until the wheels fall off, I'm staying there. So I don't know if I would do it. I probably would. I probably would do it a little bit differently. I probably stay in, keep collecting benefits, keep stacking some bread. You know what I mean? Keep growing my experiences. Because what am I doing living in Korea for a year at 22? That's crazy. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's doing that? Except us in the Army. So, and those around the Army. So, and the military. So that's one thing I would probably reconsider. I don't know that I'd do it. I don't know if I'd stay, but I'd reconsider heavily to just not discharge on my regular date, but stay a little bit longer.
That's interesting. You said, look, if I had to do it differently, I might hang out a little bit longer. It was a great team.
Yeah, it was really good.
Nice. Is there anything I haven't asked you about that you'd like to share?
Actually, no. I think that all of the points that I usually like to hit, people over technology, the Army, and this is good. Like I can't think of anything right now that I haven't touched on. I think I'm good.
Well, I'm glad. I like to make sure people get the opportunity to elevate their voice, exercise their power, understand that there's a whole world available to us. I love that you shared your experience. 722 in Korea.
Yeah.
Who else is doing that? I mean, a lot of us are not. I've enjoyed our chat. I'm a little bit curious though. What do you think 50 years from now technology will look like around document storage and intranet systems? What do you think the future looks like?
Dang. Totally. You said 50 years from now, right?
Yeah, just 50. I know
All
that.
right. So we're talking that in technology terms is like 300 years or something. You know what I'm saying? So I
Mhm.
will say I don't think documents necessarily will exist anymore. They'll just be, yeah, I'm serious. They'll just be information stored somewhere that you just access through some type of something, like some layer of, uh, which could be AI,
Yeah.
but you access it through some type of layer. So let's say like you have to put together all of your important documents. You know, all those things you want to get in order before you check out. So your will and your whatever, all that paperwork. It
Wow.
won't be it won't be a physical paper like how it used to be, because you see a lot of people right now have their stuff stored on a cloud somewhere. So we've already got past physical paper. We've gone past cloud, putting your files on a cloud.
Yeah.
Imagine there's no file. It's just something, a server or something storing that information, and you can access it securely, hopefully.
That
Securely.
part.
Yeah. Securely through some type of layer of AI. Whether that is you go to see your lawyer, you sit down with your lawyer, like 80 years old, and you say, yeah, I want to get my stuff in order. We've already been putting this stuff together. And I go, all right, I don't even have a phone. I have something, I don't know, a robot next to me or something. And I just
Yeah.
ask questions and that stuff gets presented. So I'm talking to the lawyer and I go, hey, to my system, I go, show me the will. And it just tells me the information about the will. I don't even think I'd see a document. I would just get information on some like hologram screen or something that shows my will information. I think all that stuff is going away. But I also don't know how. I mean, I'm not excited about it, but I can't stop it. That's where it's going. But that's what I think it's going to be like. It's going to be like all that stuff goes away, and it's just like information sitting somewhere that you can access through some type of artificial intelligence layer.
Okay. So you might change your name from Mr. SharePoint to the newest tech
Uh,
if you get to hang out long enough.
I don't know. I we'll see. We'll see. I don't know.
That's pretty cool though. He said, "Look, I'm gonna go into. I'm just imagining like stroll into your lawyer's office, and you say, hey, pull up the will, and like there's this giant interface like that's like a holograph on the screen. And you guys like read it together and like wave your hand to like swap page, to
Yeah.
go through pages. That could be super cool.
But you know what else though? Like not that long ago, I was telling my friend when Chat GPT first got popular, he's a teacher and he wasn't trying to hear what I was saying. But here's what I was telling him. I'm like, yo, your son, imagine if your son one day got up at whatever time he felt like getting up. Let's say it was like 11. And this is a school day. He gets up at 11 and he goes into a room. Maybe he makes some breakfast or you make him some breakfast. He takes a plate into a room and he presses a button on a little device that's sitting on a table. And when he presses the button, a big hologram of a teacher comes up. A teacher that he designed in his own head because he's like, yo, I want it to be a guy. I want him to have like this haircut and look super cool with this shirt or whatever. He's a kid. So this might be a teacher that looks like Spider-Man or whatever, right? So he's like, he sees the hologram of the teacher and that's how he learns. So the teacher goes, all right, are you ready to, get going for today? And he goes, yeah, I'm ready. I like how we were talking about history yesterday. You were telling me about how China has this big wall, and he interacts with the system that way. He's not doing homework. He's not writing papers and turn them into a teacher. He's interacting with information stored somewhere through a layer of artificial intelligence, and that's this hologram of a teacher that he designed in his own image. That to me can happen next month. You know what I'm saying? Let alone 50 years from now. So 50 years is gonna look crazy. But to me, they could do that today with these kids. And he was like, yo, it's not gonna happen. Everybody doesn't have access to that. I'm like, yeah, you're right, but it's that type of stuff can and will happen. No question.
Imagine being able to design your teacher to dress like Spider-Man.
Yeah, how that is, it's like crazy but cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like that same teacher that he's using which was given the knowledge of many, many teachers. It's like his friend down the street is learning the same information. It's probably pulling from the same server, but his teacher looks different. His teacher talks to him differently. His teacher interacts with him differently. Like that's where I don't even want to say where we're going. I feel like we're already there because if you use ChatGPT, your ChatGPT talks to you differently than my ChatGPT talks to me because of how I interact with it.
Oh, so, definitely. And I love the little occasional pop-up that goes, do you like this personality?
yeah.
I'm like, what? There's a personality?
Yeah. So all of that.
Yeah. That's super cool. Well, I know we are talking about the future of how to manage documents and internal ecosystems, but if you are really interested in making sure that you've got the best technology suited for today, you need to be connected to Therman, Mr. SharePoint. You can reach him at talksharepoint.com. It's right there on the screen. Thurman, I have absolutely enjoyed our conversation today.
Me too.
Thank you for being a guest on Uniqueka.
Thank you for having me. This was I love the questions. I get more energized based off of the questions that you ask, and you ask some great questions. So thank you. I appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you for entertaining my shenanigans. Like, what are we doing in 50 years?
It's all good. It's all good. I like that.
All right. Okay, so I hope you have absolutely enjoyed this first episode as much as I loved it. I had so much fun sitting with Therman, talking about the future. I mean, did you imagine that your kid might design Spider-Man as their teacher in the future? Like, I love having like futuristic conversations around technology and tech. If you've been following me on LinkedIn and a few other places, you know that I talk a good bit about how to use AI in the proposal development process. I use it regularly just for things like show notes for today with the transcript. One of the things I like to encourage people to do, whether you are an entrepreneur or an intrapreneur like myself, someone who is, gainfully employed at a 9 to 5, and also just coming up with all kind of fun off the wall ideas about how to move the needle in our industries, I highly encourage you to make the effort to grow a personal brand. And one of the key things I invite people to do is to make podcast appearances as a part of their growth. And so here you'll see examples on the screen of some podcast appearances I've made in recent years. I also host the show Uniqueka. I am open to guests. And so if you are interested in being a part of the show, reach out to me. Let's have a conversation about what it is that you are contributing to community. All you got to do is email me, hello@uniquewalcott.com. I love just talking to people who've got a vision for the future, people who have energy that is geared towards service to others, as well as growth and professional development. But I don't want to wrap the show just yet. I want to talk about a couple things that are on my mind because I promised my husband that I would stop hiding behind my guest. He was like, you got to talk to people about stuff you care about. So with that, I'm just going to pick a couple topics just for funsies. So one of the conversations that keeps coming up, and I think is a little bit adjacent to what Therman was mentioning, was what do we teach our kids about the future of AI and our careers and work? And this conversation really came home for me a couple of weeks ago when one of our really good friends visited with his son, my baby. And he said, I don't know what to teach him about what kind of careers to build or what skills to have. And, I've had to sit with this for a long time. I think some of the things are going to be what we might regard as soft skills now, as far as like being empathetic and being a good listener. Those are skills that are not going to go out of style. But then I think about stuff like The Simpsons, back to Therm's sort of reference about cartoons. And we look at what Homer's career is and how he's got one of the nicer houses and he's operating in a level of community, but he's got a career in nuclear energy. So that might be something you want to talk to your kids about, and things like physics. These are not jobs that are going to go away. I think they're going to look different. I'm often asked, what does my career look like in the future? I could come up with 25 different scenarios if you let me. But I think the thing that really has stood out to me, just even in terms of recent changes when it comes to things like proposal management and developing responses to requests for proposals, is we're seeing a lot of agencies use AI to score documents. And so that has required us to be a little bit more thoughtful in how we approach it. So sometimes it's a matter of, okay, they have turned off a lot of the settings in this document, so we can't add bullet points. We can't add images and graphics to tell our story. That makes storytelling with words so much more important and so much more necessary. And so that's something you want to think about, is effective communication, not just written, because I also believe that because we are shifting to AI sort of generated scoring, which may expedite the process, the human touch becomes exponentially more important. And so I think we're going to see a lot more places asking for us to not only just submit written documents to get past that first sort of hurdle for grading and scoring. I think that we're going to see people expected to come in and do in-person interviews a lot more frequently. So that means you've got to have teams that are comfortable speaking about their expertise and their knowledge and doing it in a fashion that's not boring. So those are sort of my predictions for the future, as far as professional things are concerned. As far as like lifestyle stuff, because I want to bring a mix to the show, and I want to hear from you guys what you're interested in. You know, do you want to know where I shop? That was one of the most fun questions I've gotten in recent months about myself when I went to go speak in Houston back in January, and I talked about genuine impact and building a powerful personal brand. One of the questions was, one, when are you writing a book? The second one was, where do you shop? And so I'm happy to talk about that kind of stuff, but I also want to make sure that we bring nuance and business conversation to the forefront of whatever we do here, so that people can learn and grow and be prepared for the future. Again, my name is Uniqueka Walcott. I'm the founder and CEO of Uniqueka Walcott Communications, where we teach executives how to elevate their voice so that they can step in power, and recognizing that power does not require perfection. That's the thing that kept coming up in the conversation today, where, you know, in that intro video, Therman said, look, I will take, you know, your B team, your not A players and the right technology before I take, you know, the team that doesn't have cohesion and good energy and try and get them to adopt new tools. And so I want to just remind you, like, when you are considering things like making podcast appearances or writing thought leadership on LinkedIn, you do not have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. I think there's something beautiful that happens when you get to watch people unfold before you and start off as maybe a little bit shy and coy and uncomfortable and evolve into like their whole selves and show up completely. And so that's a little bit of what's happening here today, because I will tell you, I had a lot of trepidation about doing this episode, and I overthought it to death. And I said, you know what? I got to just leap. The best things happen when we just leap. And that kind of echoes what Therm said. So I want you to take a leap with me if you dare. I've got a masterclass released in digital format on June 2nd. So if you want to get a hold of that, all you got to do is go to uniquekawalcott.com or sign up for my email list or send me an email. Hey, I'm interested. And so the best way to reach me, like, again, I guess I'm saying there's no shortage of ways to reach me, I think is really what I'm getting at. So you can email me, hello@uniquekawalcott.com. You can check me out at uniquekawalcott.com. I'm a speaker, a writer, and a moderator. And so I like to bring nuance to difficult conversations, like what does the future look like with AI? So I'm not hesitant to take a weekend and go to Atlanta and talk about, okay, what does it mean to clean up on Owl AI? In fact, this is a picture of me doing just that. It was an amazing experience sitting with these women. We're talking people who are, you know, in government agencies, who are HR professionals, who are currently doing things like reviewing x-rays in terms of how we're adopting AI. And the conversation was just so good and so rich. In fact, when I got off the stage a few hours later, one of the guests came over to me. She said, you moderated that thing. And I stood back because I wasn't ready for that energy. But apparently I brought it, and it was returned to me tenfold. And it was just a beautiful experience. I absolutely love taking complex ideas and information and breaking it down into something simple and digestible. So that's where you see me kind of diving into these different lanes of being a speaker and a writer and a moderator. But I just want to thank you if you joined today's episode. If you've gotten something out of it, make sure you drop a comment, drop me a message, send me a DM. I want to know how I can show up and show out for you guys so that you can have the best experience possible. Thank you for watching Uniqueka. Until next time.